This is the OnePlus 13.
It is a OnePlus 13.
And you know what? It's early January, and this might be a contender for phone of the year.
But before you say anything, you gotta hear us out, because I know it's a big claim, but I think I agree.
Yeah. This is a pretty fantastic device. There's a lot to like about it, so we might as well get started.
Yeah, and while you watch, if you want to mourn on TikTok passing away this week, please do so. We're at the same page. I'm at the same page. You never use TikTok.
Yeah.
I do use TikTok.
Yeah. For those of you who never use TikTok like me, we stand in
All right,
solidarity.
the 5 of you that do that, happy for you.
We stand in solidarity. We do this, bro. We do this.
Let's get to the video. Now let's look at the phone, because when you first look at the phone and you're familiar with the signature look on the OnePlus smartphones, this one hasn't changed much, which is not a bad thing. This one still keeps the curved. It's like a polished aluminum finish, which it looks really premium. It feels really premium. It is really heavy on your hand, which is, in my opinion, really nice.
I like that too.
The back, though, it did change when it comes to the camera module. The camera module now, it's isolated, which it
looks
does
better.
look a lot better.
Yeah,
it looks a lot better. It's still partnered with Hasselblad. Now the Hasselblad logo is not part of the module anymore. It's actually part of the back casing, which that is, it looks pretty better. It looks
also
pretty
looks
clean.
better.
I can't lie about that. The cool and interesting thing about the phone design, though, is the color that you choose, because each color that you choose for this smartphone comes with a different finish. So there's 3 options. We have black, we have white, and we have a navy blue. Is there a specific name?
I think it's like ocean blue or something. Like we'll
Whatever
have to
fancy name.
double check. Yeah.
But if you choose one, you're going to get a different texture. So if you're very specific on how you want to feel your phone and what it's going to look like, you might want to consider that as a factor, because the white one, that's the one that we have. In the website, we thought it was going to be this like rough, like stone
sandpaper type
thing.
thing.
Sandpaper look.
Yeah.
But it's more like a polished, glittery look, and it doesn't look bad. It's a polished feeling, but it looks really clean, and it's just something that you want to probably keep an eye out for. When it comes to the black one, that it's more of like a dark black marble. It looks stony.
Yeah.
Which it's also pretty cool. I don't know what it feels like, but it looks pretty cool on paper. The blue one, though, that is called the vegan leather.
Yep.
Which, if you like leather on your phone, then that's the one that you have to go for. Personally, I don't know if I would choose that one, but that's just something that I have to mention.
Yeah, and we've seen the leather options before on OnePlus phones, mainly the Open, right? So the Open has the black leather option and now the red leather option too. Right. So it's here on the 13 as well in the blue. Now up front is
the big boy,
a display, like the display for 20. It's setting the standard for 2025.
I don't think we've been excited to talk about a display in a while.
Yeah, so it has everything that you could be possibly looking for in a flagship display. 6.82 inches.
That's a lot.
Right? Yeah. It's a big screen. Quad HD resolution.
Super high.
You don't have to set Quad HD as your resolution if you don't want to. Like you can adjust the resolution settings in the phone, but I set it to maximum resolution. 120 hertz refresh rate. LTPO 4.1.
Oh, right.
Right? Like AMOLED 4.1.
Right.
So it's a new type of LTPO AMOLED display compared to what we've seen previously. But it's still got that variable refresh rate since it is LTPO, right? 1 to 120 hertz.
Right.
And it has all sorts of like tweaks in the software from OnePlus as well for like image sharpening, video sharpening, detail sharpening, like all sorts of things that you can turn on.
Color accuracy. It's crazy.
Different color settings and stuff like that. The display, especially whenever you take into account brightness. So 1600 nits high brightness setting, but 4500 nits peak max brightness, which those numbers actually match the OnePlus 12. But because this uses slightly newer technology, the display, it like at times doesn't even look real. Like you described when you first saw the phone, you described it as sharp but soft at the same time.
Yeah, it's crazy. It feels, there's parts of the phone, depending on what you're looking at. Yeah. There's parts of the image that look like it's a printed image. Yeah. It doesn't look like it's digital. Yeah. Which is, it's amazing.
And the crazy part is like prior to the OnePlus 13 coming out, it was making news, like tech news articles, because of the records that it was breaking. According to DisplayMate. Now, DisplayMate is for displays what DxOMark is for cameras.
For cameras, yep.
Right? And here's what it says on DisplayMate's website. Right? The OnePlus 13 receives a DisplayMate Best Smartphone Display Award, earning DisplayMate's highest ever display performance grade of A++. Yeah. And setting or matching 21 smartphone display performance records including 10 that are visually indistinguishable from perfect.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. When you read something like that, it's super easy to think to yourself, like, you'll go into it being like, this is an amazing display.
Right, and you're going to be a little bit biased because of those expectations.
Yeah, so when I was waiting for the phone to come in, I was like, this display is going to knock me out of the park.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think we also had the expectation of, like, it better be perfect.
Right.
Right.
And it did not disappoint at any point in time. So like, it's one thing to set the expectations, it's another thing to meet or exceed them, and that's exactly what this smartphone display did. But the cool part is that this is technology that other manufacturers can incorporate on their phones moving forward as well.
I hope they do.
Yeah. But this really set the bar for displays in 2025.
Amazing.
It's amazing. Now, the display of this phone is one thing, but the performance is also
another.
Yeah, it's also absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So the OnePlus 13 is rocking the latest chipset from Qualcomm. It should be in all of the flagship phones for 2025. The Snapdragon 8 Elite. We've seen it already in some like gaming phones,
right?
Red Magic and stuff like that. But it's here for like your flagship now as well. The 8 Elite compared to the 8 Gen 3 has some pretty, according to Qualcomm, some pretty significant bumps in performance. Something like 40% just like raw CPU bump, and in some cases like 40% improvement for like GPU in terms of power consumption and like energy efficiency. Right. So depending on which color you go for, you will have different RAM options. I think either one you get is solid. Like the baseline OnePlus 13 is going to get you 12 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. But other colors like the white one, for example, or the blue one, those come with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage. So that paired with the 8 Elite, I mean, there's really nothing you could throw at this phone that's going to trip it up from a performance perspective.
You're right. And I think when it comes to hardware, and more specifically with any Android phone, because they're known to have really powerful hardware and really top of the line stuff across any brand, any company that you see out there.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that differentiates a really good phone with performance versus something that's not really good it's how the software handles the power and the hardware integrated with their OS, which in this case, Oxygen OS 15 does a really good job because there's so many little things that OnePlus paid attention to that improves the speed, the performance, and the efficiency of your experience. So everything just feels more fluid. Even something as simple as like app switcher. The way you close and reopen an app, there's an enhanced way of doing it now that it's a lot faster and it's just more responsive. Something as simple as the response time on closing an app and opening a new one feels very different because we compared the normal one that was on like any other Android phone and the new one, and it makes a crazy difference.
Yeah.
But you also have the normal AI features that all smartphones have. Like now they have this menu that you swipe over on the right side. You have things like AI summaries or AI speech.
Yep.
Yeah, it's something that's maybe you won't use it, but it's there. You have your Notes app that has AI. You have your camera app that has like AI editor.
Yep.
So all those features are going to be there, which not only feel great to have, but also run really well because of the hardware that comes with the phone. So overall, I think they did a really good job in this area as well.
Yeah, that's a really great point. OnePlus paid really solid attention to detail. I mean, even just like little things in the experience, like you can customize the animation for your ultrasonic fingerprint reader.
Yeah,
and like
right.
That's always been present in Oxygen OS. That's not a new thing.
Right.
But those little types of things that you can kind of tailor and adjust, and the fact that OnePlus incorporates those, and the performance is still fantastic.
Yep.
Right?
That's amazing.
It's a really solid and kind of like harmonious experience between the hardware that it has and the software that it runs. Really great.
Now, let's talk about camera, because camera is something that OnePlus prides on just because their partnership with Hasselblad. And Hasselblad, if you don't know, it's a camera company that's really high quality. But when it comes to smartphones, that's when it gets tricky, because not only are you just taking their name, but you're supposed to incorporate their technology and their camera sensors into your phone, which they do. But does it look great and does it deliver what they're claiming? Well, that's when yes and no. It's really unique because this phone does take really good pictures, but on paper, we're looking at a 50 megapixel wide camera, 50 megapixel telephoto, that's 3 times, and a 50 megapixel ultra wide. If you compare it to last generation, some of those sensors went down, but some of them went up. But overall, now it's 50-50-50 in the whole camera system. And when it comes to the cameras, here's what I noticed, because when you first take a picture, you take it out and you point at anything, it takes pictures that are really high in contrast. They're sharp and they look good, but the darks are really dark and the brights are really bright. And that's where OnePlus decided that, hey, this is great hardware, but we're also going to make it great with the software, which we've seen that with Google Pixel phones, that they use software to improve the camera quality and the image optimization to make your images look a lot better. But OnePlus does something called master mode, which master mode is supposed to simulate an actual Hasselblad camera, which makes the pictures look a little bit flat, but it gives you a lot more detail on the dark areas and the bright areas, making you give you more. It just gives you more control on the overall picture, so you can edit and make it look the way you want it to without losing any quality. Here's what's funny. There's a lot of things in this camera that are going to be very familiar, especially if you have a phone or you've had a phone in the past that belongs to a fruit company. This camera gives you a lot of things, for sure. It's a great camera system. The camera app gives you a lot of things, which is really cool. Now you have live photos, which you take a picture and it takes a small video before and after you took the picture. So if you want to get that moment, you can capture it and bring it back during the picture. You have action mode, which it's a way of stabilizing your video. So you take video and it's stable and it's smooth and it's super great and it looks amazing. You have scenes, which they're not filters, but they take image on they take portions of your image specifically based on the environment to accentuate certain colors and make the picture feel a certain way based on the presets that it comes with. I think here's what I want to say. Ultimately, this camera system, it's like if a Samsung Galaxy phone and an iPhone Pro camera system had a baby, and you get a OnePlus Hasselblad camera system, and it's great. It really is. Is it revolutionary? I don't think it is. If anything, I think we're down to the point that all camera systems are going to be good, and there's some that are going to be better in specific scenarios. This one specifically might give you better pictures in a specific environment compared to another phone, but it's not going to be top of the line overall, and that's just how it is. You won't be disappointed. I think if your biggest thing is focusing on the camera and making sure that you get great pictures, you won't be disappointed. And that ultimately comes to how much control you want to have on your camera, because if you want to get a single point and shoot, this is not it. This camera gives you a lot of controls that you can tailor the camera systems to give you the best result you can based on what you know of cameras. But if you don't want to modify anything, if you don't want to change a lot of settings, this might not be it, because this one is a more manual system, especially if you use master mode on this camera system. And you have 8K 30 frames per second, which I don't know why you would take that camera and record 8K video if you can't even play it on a normal monitor. But hey, you have that option.
Yeah, and I think from just like the most important part for a lot of people who are going to buy the phone is the point and shoot perspective.
Right.
Right. And I think from a point and shoot category, this is probably still just like a step below your Pixel 9 Pros.
Yeah, iPhone 16 Pro Maxes.
Your Galaxy S24 Ultras.
The Ultras.
Like the ultra high end. Now, mind you, the good thing is that this phone undercuts them in price.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So the undercutting in price has to come in some category, and I would say for this phone, it's the camera. That's typically the trend with OnePlus, right? Is they have cameras that are in some cases just a notch below what you see from the competitors, but the phone could cost you $200 to $300 less.
And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So it's just something to keep in mind.
But you know where OnePlus did not make any sacrifices?
Oh, dude, I'm excited about this one.
The battery. The battery is just as insane as the display and the performance. Okay?
This is new.
So
this is crazy.
Let's get the specs out of the way first. Battery specs are easy. 6,000
even right there. Even if you were to stop right there, that's crazy.
Yeah. 6,000 milliamp hours in a phone that is thinner and lighter than its
your average smartphone
predecessor, the OnePlus 12.
And any other average smartphone, it's still just as thin as a premium smartphone nowadays.
But if you were to take this phone and compare it to OnePlus 12, it's thinner, it's lighter, and it comes with a 10% larger battery. 5,400 versus 6,000 milliamp hours, okay? But now here's the thing. The battery life on this phone is insane, and typically, whenever you hear thinner, lighter, but somehow bigger battery, the question is, how did you do it, right? With the space and stuff like that. OnePlus is using a slightly different battery technology. Right? Silicon carbon is what it's called. Now, it's still, like, we're not going to get into the technicalities because, to be honest with you, neither one of us know the technicalities of batteries like that.
Yeah.
But just understand that it's a new battery technology that allows for greater energy density.
Right.
AKA, you can have a larger capacity battery in a very similar size.
Right.
So 6,000 milliamp hours in a phone that's thinner and lighter. The battery life is absolutely fantastic. Right. This is a 2-day phone at the very least. I remember the first couple of days whenever I had this phone, took it off charge one day at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay. The following day at 9 p.m., it was at 41%. The following day at 9 p.m., it was at 41% with over 6.5 hours of screen on time.
Yeah.
And then if that is not exciting enough, the phone also comes with 80-watt wired charging and 50-watt wireless charging if you have the right wireless charger. But I have to give OnePlus a ton of credit because you see these?
They never miss with this.
You see these right here on the table? Yeah. Your 80-watt brick and your cable included in the box still.
Yeah.
That's why the box is so thick. Included in the box still. And I have to give OnePlus a ton of credit. They still do that, and they still give you a pre-installed screen protector. Is it the best quality screen protector? No. But is it something?
It's the fact that it comes with it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Any other competitor that you would go to you would have to probably pay what, $50 for an 80-watt
at least,
brick?
Yeah.
Right? At least. And this is included in there for you. And in case you're wondering about the charging speed, 0 to 100 in 36 minutes. And I actually did test this like a couple of nights ago. I plugged the phone into charge. It had like 41% battery. Right. It was full in like 25 minutes.
Right.
And it has this really cool charging in it. The charging is so fast when you plug it in with the right charger, it'll literally show the trickle of the percentage going up.
You see it live.
Yeah, for like a couple of seconds whenever you plug it in. Battery life is absolutely insane. Now, this technology does come at the expense of cost.
Right.
And a little bit of the battery's longevity in terms of charging cycles and stuff like battery health over time, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that we're going to have to see as time goes on.
Right.
But it is a little bit more of an expensive technology because it's newer, but this should be, again, something that we should see on other flagship phones down the line as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point because even if you consider in the factor that, this battery might not last as long as a normal lithium-ion battery on other smartphones, or hey, maybe I'm going to wear it out a lot quicker. One, you're right. We don't know exactly what that looks like. We don't know if it's going to be something that's going to be a lot shorter, that's a crazy difference, or it's just a slight improvement or decrease on the battery life compared to another smartphone. I think ultimately, and you brought it up earlier, it's the fact that this is new. We don't see innovation like this anymore in smartphones, and it's a fact that this is something that gets people excited to try out because it's not the classic, the camera's better and it's faster. Yeah. There's actual changes in the technology and the way that the chemicals are inside of the battery that make everything work a lot better, last a lot longer, and honestly, it's just impressive overall.
Yeah, and you know what? I gotta say, I don't want to call OnePlus a small company. They're not a small company.
Not anymore,
right? But in the grand scheme of things, compared to your giants, good on you for bringing these things out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's one tech giant in particular, named after a fruit, that I feel like used to be at kind of like the edge of these types of innovations for their smartphones.
One more thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And here we have OnePlus setting the tone for 2025.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whereas I feel like could have potentially been an opportunity missed for another company maybe a few months back with a recent flagship phone launch.
Yeah.
But regardless, you love to see it because like David said, this is actually something that gets you excited, right, for the phone instead of just, we improved the speed and
better camera.
Yeah, fusion camera.
Yep. That's specific.
Battery on this phone is amazing. You love to see it.
You will. But overall, it is a really cool phone. I think we said so many things that we might have dumped a lot into you. But it is great. It is a really cool phone, and it's something that we don't see often. And I think it's so sad to say that companies are not innovative anymore. Companies are not taking risks when it comes to the technology and the manufacturing process on a smartphone, where everything just feels like it's the same, even though it might look different on the outside. Ultimately, it's the same on the inside. This is not the case with the OnePlus 13. The OnePlus 13 takes risks and improvements and achieves those risks and improvements in specific categories of the smartphone. So we do love to see that. It is great. Now, when it comes to the pricing, we are looking at $899, which is honestly a really decent price for a starting price on a smartphone, on a flagship smartphone.
Yeah.
And that comes with 256 gigabytes of storage and 12 gigs of RAM. If you want to go higher, there's a 512 gigabyte option with 16 gigs of RAM, which as of now, it's on sale.
Yeah.
For $100 off, which makes it the same price as the base model.
Yep.
So you can get the higher tier for the starting price for $899, and you get 512 and 60 gigs of RAM. In 3 color options, like we mentioned earlier, we have the blue, which is like the leather, the white, which is like a stone, smooth stone, and the black, which looks like a black marble. So ultimately, you have your options, you have deals, you have a great promise of the company delivering something that's new and it's exciting. And I can't wait for you to try it out.
Yeah. This gives us a lot to look forward to from other flagship phones. But so far, OnePlus absolutely set the standard for flagship phones for 2025.
Yeah, 100%.
I have not been this excited to see an array of flagship smartphone drops in a long time.
And I think it's going to be really disappointing if the other big boys of smartphones don't do the same this year. And if they stay on the trend of doing the same every year, this year, then OnePlus is going to step over and then walk right over them.
Yeah, if they don't, you got this right here.
And it's a great phone.
Absolutely fantastic. I'm excited. If you enjoyed the review and you're new, consider hitting the subscribe button down below. We're almost at 32K now.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, we'll see you soon.
Till the next one.
Peace.